They are patently false, yet disinformation campaigns and conspiracy theories have become a fact of our lives these days, particularly in politics. Most get ignored, even laughed off. But there is one theory suggesting Canadians will be forced into COVID-19 internment camps that has now caught the attention of the Prime Minister. Evan Dyer brings us the story this morning.
Well, COVID has, of course, supercharged
This is Canada,
conspiracy
by the way.
theories. There's the theory that the whole pandemic is a hoax. There's also the theory, of course, that it's real but caused by governments, the so-called plandemic. But we are now seeing one making the rounds after being promoted by an elected official in the Ontario Parliament. That is Randy Hillier, who was expelled from the PC government by Premier Doug Ford last year, and who gave a speech in the legislature 2 weeks ago based on a tender put up by the Ontario government looking for a contractor to provide housing for people who've been required to quarantine for 14 days but have no place to stay. Randy Hillier interpreted those as quarantine camps or internment camps.
Surely this government is aware of the intentions to build these isolation camps from coast to coast. And my question to the Premier is, how many of these camps will be built? And how many people does this government expect to detain?
Other Canadian politicians are now starting to hear about it from their constituents. One we spoke to was Charlie Angus of the New Democratic Party, who's been very active in campaigns against social media disinformation even before the pandemic, is a member of an international parliamentarians group aimed at reining in disinformation on social media platforms.
I just think it's really a disgrace that people use their position, a public position, to spread falsehoods. This is damaging people's confidence, and I have people who are really, really afraid. And I every night on Facebook, I'm dealing with people from across the country who are sending me messages, and I'm saying to them, listen, nobody is coming to break into your house to force you to take a mumps vaccine. Honest, it's not going to happen. This is Canada.
And we also learned yesterday that this particular conspiracy theory has even reached the ears of the Prime Minister of Canada.
I was chatting with a group of students the other day, and a young woman asked me about COVID internment camps. And I had to explain that as we consume increasing amounts and various sources of information online and around us, we need to continue to be attentive to source. We need to continue to be attentive to comparing various reports and looking for trusted sources.
Okay. So, if you're listening to the audio, you won't understand the music totally. But so that report was from about 4-ish months ago, maybe January. And recently, let's see. So this tweet that I put at the end of the clip is from February, and it says, if your results come, and this is from Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. If your results come back negative, you'll be able to quarantine at home. This quarantine is mandatory and will be enforced. If your test results come back positive for COVID-19, you'll be required to immediately quarantine in designated government facilities.
But David, it's not designated internment camps. It doesn't say internment camps. It says government facilities.
The Canadians do not have a choice in this. There is hang on, let me cut this out. There is actual video of people who are in these containment camps, and they do not have food for them. They're like angry, and they're yelling at the people who are in charge because they're and this one woman's like, we are not animals. So this is listen, you can go look this up. This was from a couple months ago. Like, this whole thing blew up about Canada wanting to put people in internment camps because of a virus with a 99% survival rate.
Yep.
Also, if you read into this tweet, you are still, if your test comes back negative, you're still forced to quarantine at home.
Showing no symptoms, nothing. And that's the thing. I think people are finally starting to wake up, because I showed you that video of Pat McAfee. For those who don't know, he's a sports podcaster, journalist, personality, and he he even said it. I've heard other people say it to where it's like, okay, it's mask, no mask, mask, and then it's, get the vaccine and everything go back to normal. No, it's not going to go back to normal. We'll now get a second vaccine. It's not going to go back to normal. You still have to wear the mask. You still have to do this. I think people are finally waking up that it's all about control and having power over your life.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. And them having the authority to determine what you can and can't do. And they don't have that right. They don't have that authority. No one does. It doesn't matter if it's Trump, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Mike Pence, Ron Paul. I don't care who you put in there. No one has the right to tell you that. And if you want to choose to social distance and wear a mask, then that's your right. But no one should be able to force a mask on you, your business to lock down, all that stuff.
Yes.
Now, if a business wants to decide, hey, you have to wear a mask or you don't have to, that's the right of the business, right? All
Yep.
these business coming out in Texas saying, hey, we require you to wear a mask. Guess what? Are the Republicans going to find them for doing that? Are the Republicans going to go after them for doing that? Even though the Republican governor just issued that you don't have to do that. But guess what? In all these Democrat-run states where you had to force people to wear a mask, if they didn't, they would get fined, right?
Yeah,
they lose their business license, liquor license, whatever.
I was going to say it took like 5 conservatives an entire year to find their nutsack to actually like realize what was going on. So
right.
Obviously they're not going to do anything. But yeah, that's the point is if you have a business that you own and you want people to wear a mask inside, that is your decision and people should respect that. Now, it doesn't mean that they have to shop there. If you decide to do that and they're like, I don't want to deal with this, and they find another place to go, you chose something and they also chose something. That's how transactions work.